Right, well, something I want to talk about is the possibility, and there's excuse me, overwhelming evidence due to the findings of green glass, vitrified sand, basically in areas of the Indus Valley. And two seconds. I need a drink for this. So basically, there's an ancient text you may have heard of called the Marabhabata. I can't even say it. Mahabharata, right? But if I said that right, basically it's an Indian Sanskrit originally text that just details the goings on of things in India mainly between two families, rival families, and it culminates in a war. Now, there are things mentioned called Vimanas. Now, a Vimana is said to have been an aircraft, ancient aircraft. I know this sounds crazy, right? It sounds crazy. Before I go on, actually, one thing that's worth noting is I like smoking shisha. I've got shisha pipe going on there. Cherry flavour today. Yeah, you might think aircraft thousands of years ago. What are you talking about? Well, every generation and era seems to think it's more advanced than the last, and that would stand to logically make sense, apart from the fact it's doesn't look like it's true with the amount of evidence that is available. That's not really very easily found, or not very easily located. You've got to dig to find it. I wonder why. So, Vimanas, anyway, are said to have been aircraft that were without wings. They didn't need wings. They said to have been powered by an engine, which was kind of like a whirlpool design technique. It was encased in metal, and it had basically liquid. I'm not quite sure the exact ins and outs of this because it's no, I don't think anyone is really, because the science is obviously something that's ancient and to a degree unknown, and if it is known, it's kept pretty silent. But in effect, what we do know is that its liquid mercury is heated in a furnace, a small controlled furnace engine in the base of the aircraft. The aircraft doesn't need wings. The aircraft can be like a circular sort of, looking thing, completely different to planes and powered completely differently to planes you've got nowadays. Yeah, sounds crazy. Oh, look it up yourself. Anyway, what I'm really interested in is not so much the Vimanas. I'm very interested in that, the flying crafts. I'm very interested in the actual war itself, because so much evidence points to genuine nuclear fallout, blasts, residue remains in certain areas of Earth, and the main places that we know about are obviously places of deserts, and they're places where there isn't human habitation because of the radioactive levels, and that are still there. India possesses them in certain areas. America, North America. This is why there are so many deserts there, and this is why I believe, conspiracy, I believe the American government covers up the remains of this ancient nuclear fallout and happenings by saying, oh, there are nuclear levels across some of our deserts, in North America, because that's where we do our testing for nuclear weapons. I personally do not believe man has nuclear weapons now. I don't believe we possess the technologies to do so, and I don't believe we have in our era, in our generation, and in our era of humans. There have been resets, I believe, that have been strategically planned through time. One of them we know about, most famous one is probably the flood, Noah and the flood story. That's an example of a reset. Whatever was going on before that pretty much was all destroyed in the flood, so we wouldn't really know. Interesting, right? There was, I believe, a war before the creation of humans. There kind of gets deep, doesn't it? In a nutshell, I'm not religious, but let's go to the Bible for a minute, right? It's a Genesis, and you've got Genesis 1, and very, very briefly, you've got the first page. There's 2 creation stories, if you're not aware. Not many people are, they don't read it properly. The very first page, Genesis 1, labels the creation of man, but I believe, but were the original man, what we would know as the gods to a degree, bigger than us. There was no humans like us, there was only the bigger ones, the originals. They had a war in what's said to be, through the shills and the sci-fi bullshit by Zecharia Sitchin, Nibiru. That was what we know now as America. And the whole of North America was probably flourishing, it wasn't desert, anything like that. They had a war there, these 2 families, and made a mess, basically, hence the fact the nuclear fallout there now. Lots of evidence of vitrified sandy, again, green glass fused together can only really happen that way. The fallout was so great that I think they would have gone somewhere else to get away from it. Maybe it was so bad across the whole earth because it fucked the sun up. They might have gone underground, and that's where you get this whole theory and conspiracy and myth of Hollow Earth, right? Possible, it's possible. Just theories, possible. Page 2 of Genesis starts. This is the generations of man, right? And my phone's moving. And it says the Lord God had caused it not to rain for a long time, so it was barren wasteland, dry. There was not a man to till the field. There was not, any vegetation, grass or anything, animals, because it all been done in a nuclear fucking war, basically, right? So then it says he makes man out of clay or whatever, and in his own likeness, and that's very different to what it says in Genesis 1. You see what I'm saying here? So it looks like we men were just made as workers, slaves to till the land. It says that. I mean, I'm not taking it word for word, and like I said, I'm not religious, so, but I just have a hunch there is elements of truth in this. So anyway, it looks like whatever the spirit of God over the waters was, made the original humanoids that were bigger than us, the gods as we know. They had a fight and a war, fucked the land up, no water for ages, and when it was ready to sort it out, quite a way afterwards, a couple of them came up and they made humans. And that's what you read about in Genesis 2. Right. Okay, so it sounds far-fetched, it sounds crazy, but when you really look into it and you read it, it's not really. Anyway, there was wars before us, and these Vimanas flying crafts were the ones, these ships were carrying the bombs. If you read the Mahabharata, it actually has detailed records in there of things that it says giant messenger of death, iron thunderbolts, the power of brilliance of 1,000 suns and stuff, and it says that people were reduced to white powder, and birds just fell from the sky, and hair and nails all falling out, and all the different telltale symptoms you have from a nuclear war, a nuclear bomb, an atomic bomb. How do they know about that back then? I mean, this Sanskrit text, the Mahabharata, is ancient, thousands of years old, so, well, anyway, I'll leave it there. There'll be a part 2 very soon. Go and do your research on this, comment, laugh at me, whatever, say what you want. I'd love to see what you think. I'd love to see what you find, so go and have a look. And yeah, I'll speak to you soon.